Crypto holders, the SEC just did something that at least surprised me. Well, that's a matter of perspective, I guess, because can the SEC at this point really even surprise you? But yeah, we've got a very interesting update in the Coinbase lawsuit, which refers back to every crypto, including, I guess, following their words, XRP. But if you've not done it yet, make sure you press that like button right now, and let's see how maximum likes we can get. How many? Would it be 100, 1,000, 7 million? And let us dive right into the crazy remarks of the SEC. Again, officially in the lawsuit. The SEC asked Coinbase, $Coin, which is their ticker on the stock exchange, to halt trading in all cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin before launching legal action against the Nasdaq-listed company last month for failing to register as a broker-dealer. Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, revealed that the SEC made this recommendation before taking legal action against the company, accusing it of failing to register as a broker. And so basically, let's take a look at these two things. The SEC literally asked Coinbase to halt crypto trading. The SEC allowed Coin to go public. Again, we saw their filing to go public, and the judge in the case is also confused as to why they were allowed to go public if their business practice was, mostly wrong. Approved their business model, and after years, destroying their business. Selling crypto assets is their revenue source. Hashtag fire Gary Gensler and restructure the SEC. Because even Watcher Guru posted it like this. The SEC told Coinbase they believe every crypto other than Bitcoin to be a security. And again, it's peculiar. This was an interview with the CEO of Coinbase that was posted 5 hours ago. They said, or at least what we know, is that 13 different cryptos were identified to be securities by the SEC. And when looking it up, these are the ones that they're going after as of this point. But if we dive a little bit deeper, the prior request for Coinbase to list every one of the more than 200 tokens it offers, with the exception of flagship token Bitcoin, indicates that the SEC under Gensler has pushed for a wider authority over the crypto industry, which to me makes it peculiar that when asked, hey, what about all the other different tokens that you did not mention in your lawsuit, they said, we'll leave that for further judgment, basically. They'll change their mind on that in the future. They came back to us and they said, we believe every asset other than Bitcoin is a security. And we said, well, how are you coming to that conclusion? Because that's not our interpretation of the law. And again, the judge now, because of the Ripple case, which is why it is so juicy that the Ripple case verdict came out, the SEC has no legs to stand on. And they said, we're not going to explain it to you. You need to delist every other asset than Bitcoin because we seem to think so. Yet again, now they cannot prove their point anymore because the judge came back to state that that's not the case. If Coinbase had agreed, that could have set a precedent that would have left the vast majority of the American crypto businesses operating outside the law unless they registered with the commission. And so it's funny how huge of a role Coinbase plays in all this. If they did decide to delist everything, it might have been a full sweep for other exchanges to follow them, similarly to what happened to XRP back, in 2021, when a lot of these exchanges decided to delist when there was no need, as Uphold did never delist and they were completely fine at the end. We really didn't have a choice at that point. Delisting every other asset than Bitcoin, which, by the way, is not what the law says, would have essentially meant the end of the crypto industry in the US and the end of their business. It kind of made an easy choice. Let's go to court and find out what the court says because, well, it's like shutting your business down or trying it through the courts. Yeah, I know which choice I'd make also. And now where it gets really interesting is that apparently the SEC said its enforcement division did not make a formal request for companies to delist any crypto assets. So informal but not formal. In the course of an investigation, the staff may share its own view as to what conduct may raise questions for the commission under the securities law. And again, following the SEC's thoughts, everything, stocks, bonds, cryptos, traditional financial instruments fall under the SEC's remit. But following the U.S. authorities and the law, that might not fully be the case, like with XRP. And even the former CFTC staff gets it, chief of staff gets it. There are a bunch of American companies who have built their business models on the assumption that these crypto tokens aren't securities. If they're told otherwise, many of them will have to stop operations immediately or move abroad because the US seems to be, a little bit behind in that regard. It's very difficult to see how there could be any public offering or retail trading of tokens without some sort of intervention from Congress, said Peter Fox from this law firm. And of course, the SEC declined to comment on the implications for the rest of the industry of a settlement involving Coinbase delisting every token other than Bitcoin. And so what should be added is that this is not a new stance from the SEC, because I saw some people on X, our former Twitter, state that, it's news from a while ago. You've got to understand, very often in these cases and in these situations, there have been many pieces of info that you only found out about months later. And we actually described this with XRP as a concept as well. I personally believe many partnerships have already been inked, but we'll only start reaping the benefits from them basically years in the future. And similarly, when we talk about why is the XP price not up like crazy just quite yet, one of our key arguments was that, well, the bull market needs to be back, right? There needs to be some extra enthusiasm for more money to flow in, as the pump was pretty juicy. Anybody saying that XRP didn't do well because of the whole lawsuit agreement is delusional, but we expected an even better result. As it only went plus 80% or so, we expected plus 800%. But still to this day, I personally believe this crypto industry is in a little bit of a pinch where there's a lot of fear, and the fact that the Bitcoin ETF didn't pump the crap out of the entire market leads me to believe there's massive amounts of manipulation. So again, to reiterate, this is not scary because this was actually the idea which led Coinbase to start up the lawsuit against the SEC. But it's quite important to see Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase's true remarks and his view on the matter, because if he all of a sudden decided to feel shaky or he decided to quit, yes, for XRP, things would still remain bullish. And I still believe that in the bull market, XRP has the biggest advantage out of everything because it's properly regulated in the US. Well, that might not be the same for many other cryptos that we know and love. I know XLM would probably be fine. I do believe the regulation for that is not too far behind. But honestly, let's think about this. If every other crypto would be called a security, and that's official, or exchanges were to act upon it, that would be a very annoying altcoin season, if I may say so myself. And I think the reason, one of my friends told me, go for the next 2 years for crypto, make as much money as possible, and then cash out a good chunk of your money, is because potentially after that's over, after the next bull run comes to an end, or at least the next bull run might come to an end because of the SEC's massive sweep. Now, this does not mean the SEC will win. I do not believe the SEC has the authority to consider most cryptocurrency securities. That does not mean they won't try. And that does not mean they won't try to get the similar type of fines from all these other crypto companies that they got from Ripple now too. Not officially, but on the way. Which is saying, hey, you sold your cryptocurrency tokens as an investment contract at some point. We want to pardon that. And that might very well be coming for a lot of different cryptos. And this is even if Coinbase and all these other exchanges don't give up. And now all that I'd say matters the most here is whether or not Coinbase or some of these parties get to go to court quick enough. Meaning, right, Coinbase sued the SEC and the judge was kind of confused about that because the SEC then countersued Coinbase basically to get to the bottom of some stuff. And all we're asking is, well, so basically what comes first, right? And what decisions do we get before the SEC goes for more lawsuits? As that's one of the things we're afraid of, that the SEC goes for a, let's call it 100 token lawsuit instantly or something like that. But I'd say the SEC, if they were smart, they'd go for all these different tokens separately. But that would be too much enforcement, power that they'd need to go for that many cases and file that many documents. To which I also have to say, well, they requested another 100 million, right, to go after crypto quite recently, which makes me think perhaps they're just gearing up and sizing themselves up. Because also to write those papers, to sue those companies, and perhaps they want to do many at one point, it might take a couple weeks per official letter. And so if you're trying to do, 20,000 tokens at once, it might take a couple months, if not a year or 3, to actually properly file that lawsuit. Which is why I'd say potentially the next bull run might end because of the SEC's heavy sweep. Because understand, guys, this is all a game to them. I keep saying it. It's a game of chicken. It's a game of power. This is not a coincidence, all right? And like I've said many times, if it was up to them, Nah, we would not be making any money. No, not at all. But here's a fun little thing I want you guys to realize. XRP, in my opinion, is setting itself up for so much more. And people keep going to my comments section and say XRP is dead, or no, it's not going anywhere, or no, because of this pump, that was the last one, yada, yada, yada. But remember, Ripple is still confident XRP will be used by all these major banks. And what are we seeing in actuality? Ripple is signing more and more partnerships with these banks by the day. They've got official freaking governments running on the XRP ledger. Can you understand that? But so many big things are coming. The land deeds are going to be coming. The real estateization, I guess. How do you say it? Sorry. Real estate tokenization is coming on the XP ledger. It'd be too late to change course now, matey. We all know what's coming for XRP in the XP ledger. And you know what makes it more fun out of everything? That the SEC's trying so hard to destroy what we've got, destroy what Ripple's built, destroy what's going on for the XP ledger. But they can't. Because the judge said, big middle finger to you. That can always make my day. Because ask yourself, right? From a utility perspective, is there really something better than Ripple's solution through XRP right now? I mean, these banks have been using the same stuff for 40 years, whatever. Is there really something better? Now, in theory, there might be. And I always keep my eyes open to that, to say, hey, you know what? Maybe perhaps what Ripple's doing is good, but not optimal. But then I look back and think, but it's probably the best that they've got. It's probably the best option they've been offered that year. And it's probably something they should at least take before moving on to something else, because they've been in the game for a little while. They've been here for, a decade and a half, and they know what they're doing. And eventually, like I said before, it's also a matter of how many partners have you already got? How easy does this make all the connections for us? And I think Ripple, from that perspective, is on a very good path. And the XP utility is going to be pretty severe. But yeah, I'd still say it's inevitable. And that's about it for today's video. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you put that notification bell on for in case something crazy happens tomorrow. You want to be notified, or even today, because another video is dropping in a couple of hours. Stick around, because what if something crazy happens, which usually there does. You want to be notified, and that's about it. See you guys again in another crypto video soon.